Hey everybody, I'm Tara T. I'm a crocheter here on YouTube, Instagram, and on TikTok. I love to do lives and tell you all about my markets, my market prep, and just patterns that I've been working on, and even free patterns sometimes. I am here today to talk about a few things. I'm here to talk about some patterns that I am trying or have already tried for market prep. I think these are all pretty well market prep friendly or will be best sellers at my next market. I'm also going to walk you through some of my organizational tips and my process leading up to a market. I have a market that's in 2 weeks, and I just want to be very transparent with everybody and just let you know my process and what's worked for me when it comes to markets and inventory and all of those kinds of things. So I'm going to let you in on that a little bit more this week, and I'll show you examples again of all of the patterns I'm going to be talking about, or I will at least show them on the screen for you so you can see what I'm talking about. I am going to jump right into it. We'll cover patterns first, and then we'll get into some of the tips and tricks for markets as well. So one of the biggest things that I think is a bestseller from day one, and what really inspired me to start crocheting, is cows. I love cows. There's a million cow patterns out there. There's free ones, there's mini ones, there's jumbo cows, there's sitting cows, there's standing cows, there's laying down cows. There is a cow pattern for every type of cow you could possibly think of too. So I love cows. They've always been a bestseller at markets, or at least an eye grabber. Since they're a little bit bigger usually, they at least draw people into your booth and really hook people, since that's also one of the main things that people see on social media when it comes to crochet. It's usually what people tend to gravitate towards as well. So the first pattern I have is by Momsstitchetti. This is her cow pattern. This is called Hannah the Cow. I made a little Lisa Frank inspired cow like she's done in the past as well. Its eyes are a little on the creepy side. I'm not gonna lie to you, okay? I have a new set of even cuter safety eyes that's coming in the mail, and so I just wanted to preference that these aren't usually the safety eyes I use for these cows, okay? I just wanted to go over the pattern a little bit. I love this pattern. You actually make the arms ahead of time, and then you can sew them into the round. You're supposed to sew the ears on and the horns on, but I go ahead and make the ears ahead of time and sew them into the round as well, because I know where they usually go. It's been a while since I'd done this pattern, and I changed yarn types because this Dreamland yarn, which is the rainbow yarn, is actually a little bit bigger than Bernat from what I had been told and stuff, so I didn't really take that into account either. So I probably shouldn't have used this yarn with Bernat, but since I just did the details and stuff on it, it really doesn't make a difference for this kind of project. So I love these two colors together. They're super stinking adorable. These cows, like I said, are always really good sellers. So me and my mom both obviously crochet, and we both stock up on cows. It's super windy outside. I'm so sorry. It's terribly windy. There's banging happening and stuff around outside, but my mom's tried a couple different cow patterns. I know she just did a really cute sitting one. I think it was called Camille the Cow or something too, if you wanted to check that out, or check her out. Her YouTube is Stacy Makes, and she makes adorable animals as well. But this was the favorite one of the first patterns I ever bought. I'm going to be making more of these for my market as well. Probably, maybe just one though, because like I said, she already is making cow patterns. Whenever she makes a pattern, I try to avoid the same kind of patterns or animals. That way we have more variety for people to pick from in our booth, instead of just color variety in our booth, if that makes sense. Plus, if I make something and I like its eyes a little bit higher or wider or something like that, then I don't have to worry about mine looking different than hers or anything like that either. So it's just one less thing to worry about, which is really nice too. So again, Hannah the Cow by Momsstitchetti. Super cute pattern. I love this guy, and always a bestseller for me. Pattern clarity was absolutely great, honestly. especially since this was one of the first patterns I've ever done. It was super easy to read through and pick up on, so I really appreciated that as well. So you can find that on Etsy as well, and I'll have a link down below for all of these patterns I'm about to talk about. These are by Megs Makes Crochet or Megs Makes Patterns on Etsy. This is Tulip the Turtle. I've made a couple of these. They're super adorable. This is the new Bernat yarn. You guys probably saw this turtle already in a previous video as well, but look at these safety eyes. The ADHD hobbyist on Instagram, her name is Claire. she's actually in a Discord with me because of Refined Vibes channel, and so I linked up with her after that and saw that she was painting eyes on live, and I was like, please, will you sell me some? I need a couple cute colors for some projects I have. So this was one of them, and so that's super cute. It's like a really pink, what's the word? It like color shifts though. Super adorable. This guy is, again, Tulip the Turtle by MegsMakesPatterns. The pattern was super easy to read. The only thing that I would have liked on this pattern was a little bit more clarity on where exactly to sew on the legs. At first, I thought I sewed them in the wrong place because I thought he was going to be falling forwards because his head is pretty front heavy, and I didn't want him to fall forwards, so I had to just kind of guess on where the little feet went. He also does not have a tail, unless I messed that on the pattern, but he doesn't have a tail either. But he is also super adorable. He took about an hour and a half to make probably, so he's not 100% market prep friendly, but since he's bigger and there's not a lot of parts to sew on or anything like that, well, the feet you have to sew on, but that's pretty quick and easy. But he takes about an hour and a half, but he is a bigger animal, so I can charge more for him. So I think it's okay to spend time sewing on parts and stuff like that, if you can get a good price out of them. If you're making like a teeny tiny animal with a ton of teeny tiny parts and all this stuff, it doesn't make a lot of sense. If you can really only compare it to like a mini octo and you have like a tiny little whatever with a bunch of parts sewn on, you can't really charge the same price, so it doesn't make a lot of sense. But when they're bigger animals like this, it makes 100% sense. So again, Tulip the Turtle pattern was absolutely fantastic. The next one I have is also by Megs Makes Crochet / Megs Makes Patterns on Etsy. This is a very popular pattern of hers. It absolutely blew up a while back. This is Tofu the Turtle. He's super stinking adorable. You make the head ahead of time and then you sew it into the body. And you don't have to sew on the legs though for this one because they're just bobble stitches. They're triple bobbles. I did forget his tail because I know he has a tail because the other one I made had a tail, but I love this color combination and they're super easy to make. And since I make them in Bernat, I think I charge 15 is what my mom charges, so I'll charge the same since it's just a turtle pattern and they're really easy to make. And I have colors that she doesn't have. We both agreed that turtles sell well, so we were both gonna make some turtles. And so I have Tofu the Turtle. His, again, low sew, you only have to sew on the head. I'm definitely going to be making more of these since it's pretty low sew and it is no sew. I keep saying low sew, it's no sew. But I will be making more of these most likely, or at least my mom will for our market. They sell well. You can have so many color combinations, and I have tons of new colors of this like Bernat marbly color that I want to make more turtles in. Again, turtles always sell well for some reason, so I'm bulking up on these. So super cute. Again, I'll have a link down in the description too. Another big seller of mine personally, and everybody always comments on my videos whenever I put shorts or TikToks or Instagram reels out about these guys. Everybody comments and is like, oh my gosh, where did you get this pattern? It's kind of weird because it's not technically, it's a free pattern that I found off of like Pinterest. And so whenever I found this free pattern, it didn't take me to like Instagram or anything. It was in somebody's blog. So it's really hard to explain in like a comment section where he came from. So I'll have the link down below again so you can also access him as well. But this is a snake pattern. I love making snakes. I make them in all kinds of colors. I've been adding stripes to them like this recently with like my yarn scraps, which is super fun to do. I actually put little glitter eyes because I found some cute little glitter eyes while I was like organizing a little bit of my yarn, and I was like, oh my gosh, how cute would he be with those? And it's like such a weird size of eye that I found, so it was like the only thing I could really put it on. So yes, again, this is the snake pattern. I usually sell these for about 10, and I think they only take me about 30-ish minutes to make at most. The only thing I don't like about this pattern is it has like 11 to 77 rows is how long you're supposed to make him. I do not make him that long. And honestly, I've never really even counted how many rows this is. I'm gonna guesstimate that it's probably only like 40 to 50 at most whenever I make them like this. I just know that I make them like a little bit longer than like my arm usually. So like if I hold him here, he's a little bit longer. I just know to make him a little bit longer. I also have this table in front of me that's like literally this big, and I usually go like this much further over, and he's like that perfect size. So I just know what size to make him now because I've made so many of them throughout the last few months. They sell well, great for guys, great for girls, great for a quick little gift, great for fidget toys. I only make these in Sweet Snuggles Light. Sweet Snuggles Light just has that velvety feel, of course, and so it's much more like sensory stimulating, kind of, I guess is the word for it. So it's much more fun to play with than like the burnout yarn. Even though some of it's soft, it's not the same. Okay, it's just not the same. We can be honest here, okay? So I like to make these. Again, I charge 10. I'll link the free blog pattern down below, but the only thing I don't do is I don't do 77 rows like he says. So I just make him a length that I like, and I like to tie him in these knots whenever I display them usually. And as long as I can tie him in that little knot, then I know that he'll be okay and that he's long enough. So quick and easy, again, 30 minutes-ish. I'm gonna be making more of these for my market because I know I was running low after last market because I sold 3 out of my 5 or 6 that I brought. So I need to make more of these, but this is definitely on my list, definitely market prep friendly. I would highly recommend checking that out. The last pattern that I really wanted to talk about today, at least, is one of my new favorite patterns. Everybody's been talking about how they need a cat pattern in their collection. This pattern has been blowing up, let me tell you. I'm so happy for this girl. Her name is AnnieCarrawayArt on Etsy, and she made this adorable pattern. She's made so many color combinations. Crochet Grove also just made a video on TikTok, at least that I saw, about this pattern as well, with a bunch of different color combinations. And so everybody's like been buying her pattern. Literally on Etsy the other day when I went to look at her pattern, I was like, oh, maybe I can just re-download it from here or whatever. And I wanted to see how much it cost. I went in there and it said like 283 people ordered in the last 24 hours. I'm like, girl, that's crazy, but I'm so happy for her. That's awesome. That's literally so awesome. I'm glad I kind of hopped on the trend right before it blew up. But now that, like I said, Crochet Grove made a post about it, so now everybody's gonna be making these. So you need to get on it, okay? I'm telling you, these take about an hour to make. It is her Loaf cat pattern, and I will again link it down below for you too. And I just love these guys. I have a whole bunch of them. I'm trying to plan a whole army of them, okay? I want a whole shelf just filled with these guys because they're so stinking adorable. The only thing that takes you a long time is because you have to do a bunch of single crochets around, honestly, and that's what takes forever. Her pattern also includes a spotted version, and the spotted version has like the spotted version has like this ear, and then like this ear too are like a different color, like an alternate color, and then it has a little bit of that color on the tail as well. Whenever I make him, I personally, whenever I color change and stuff, I just make like one ear that color because it's a real pain to like carry my yarn and skip yarn and stuff over. So I've only made like one spotted cat like the pattern actually says, but again, it does include both the solid and the spotted option, so you can make either one whenever you buy the pattern. So it's really up to you. This little guy is made out of burnout yarn. He's super adorable. I added a couple extra little stripes in like this coral color that I found because I thought they would just be cute on there. It's on the top too. It's kind of hard to see. And then I just like to match the acrylic yarn for the face embroidery to whatever color the cat is. I have been doing tons of these in different color combinations, and I think that's my favorite part, honestly, and why I've been so obsessed with this pattern, because it is so fun to pick out a color that matches the yarn and embroider the little face on. It's just literally so much fun, and like my favorite part of the whole process is getting to the end and embroidering the little face, picking out the perfect little color, and just making him like unique, and like nobody else can make him like this, you know? So I really like making them in burnout. I think I'm gonna charge 20 for them because they are pretty big. I mean, he's like as big as my face, okay? These guys are big. I use burnout, and I think I used a 6.5 whenever I made them. I also tried to make one in Sweet Snuggles as well, and he is a little bit smaller. I made him spotted. Again, I didn't color change where she said to color change though, so keep that in mind when you look at him. But I put his little ear on there like that, and I put a little spot on his back, because if you do the spotted version, he doesn't really have a spot on his back. And then I put a little bit on the tail as well, on the end of the tail, because I made him on live and everybody said I should. And I was like, okay, you guys convinced me, I'll do it. So his little face is actually in black because I didn't have a good purple to match. And actually, the faces, the acrylic yarn that's in here, my boyfriend got this for me off of Amazon, and it was like a little kit that had a ton of like the little sample skeins, like teeny tiny skeins of yarn in it. And so I was like, this is the perfect use for these little yarns, because I've been looking for something to use them for because they've just been sitting around, okay? And I don't like to waste stuff, okay? So I will probably charge a little bit less, even though it took me the same amount of time. I'll probably charge a little bit less since the Sweet Snuggles light one is a little bit smaller, maybe like 18 instead. I know my mom just discovered a mini loaf pattern of like teeny tiny cats that's free on Instagram, so I don't know what pattern exactly it was though. So you could always look on Instagram too and see if you could find the smaller one, because then it'd be even more market prep friendly. But since these are so quick and they're so big, I think I can charge 20 for these easily and get away with it. So these are the patterns I am currently obsessed with, and you'll probably see more of these in the future and in my huge market day inventory video next week as well. So with all of this in mind, I'm going to jump into some of the market prep tips that I have for you guys, because I've gotten a lot of questions about my process, because I know that, oh my god, what was that? Is there gonna be like tornadoes? There's like a wood pallet pushed up behind my carport that my neighbors put there, and it keeps blowing off the carport. Like, say this is the carport, it's like leaned up against it, it keeps blowing up and then banging back down on it whenever the wind stops. So that's what that was. Interesting. So some of my market prep tips that I wanted to share with you guys is, number one, how much inventory to bring. I didn't know this when I first started, but whenever you are going to a market, what you need to do is, what you can do, I shouldn't say what you need to do, is you need to look at the numbers. You really need to write down all of your inventory. You need to write out all of your prices in advance, and make sure you can either track it in a spreadsheet or even on notebook paper is totally fine. Whichever one suits you best, whichever one you can keep track of better, I should say. I personally am still writing everything down in my notebook. I have a designated notebook for all of my crochet markets and inventory and market prep planning stuff. And so it's all in one place at all times in case I ever had any questions or I needed to look back on a price to tag something or anything like that. It's all in the same notebook. So I keep track of all of my stuff that way. I highly suggest doing that. The only reason why is because whenever you write all of this stuff down and you need to keep track of how many of everything you made, you need to total it all up and see how much it cost. That's your number of inventory that you're actually bringing to your market. So if you look at my last market inventory video, you can see that I had all of the prices listed out. I told you how many of every item I had, everything in detail, which is going to be what's next week, just to foreshadow a little bit, because everybody loves those videos. So I will be doing that next week too. Whenever I did this, I think I had right around $800 worth of inventory, but you should always have a goal of how much money you want to make at an event. So whenever you go to an event like that, if you want to make $100, you need to bring $200 of inventory. If you want to make $500, you need to bring $1,000 of inventory. It's kind of the standard in markets and craft shows and that kind of stuff to just bring twice as much as you want to sell. So this market, my goal was to bring $1,000 of inventory to really set myself up to at least make $500 off of this next market. I don't think I'll actually make $500 off this next market because it's a local, smaller market and it's just not the same audience or the same amount of people going to this event, since it's just in our small town for the solar eclipse that's going through the Midwest. So I don't expect to actually make $500 at this market though, just to clarify. So that's one of the big things. You need to make sure you have twice as much in inventory as you hope to actually make from an event. The second thing I really recommend is there's two processes to tag things. People either tag them as they make them, in my mind, or people tag them as they're making their inventory lists. If you are super organized, which is not me, but if you are super organized and you have a spreadsheet that has how many of everything, the prices, all of that, all of those details that I just talked about already in a spreadsheet, then you're good to go. You can go ahead and mark those and tag those as you go a lot easier. I personally have everything thrown into a bin over here that I've made since my last market, and then I just tag it all like the week before. That way I can do a final total, I can make my final video, and I can give you guys all the facts, the numbers, everything start to finish, because I like to categorize my plushies from minis, smalls, mediums, and jumbos. So I like to categorize all of my plushies like that. That way you can see all of them, and you can see how many of like what kind of item I'm also bringing, and that's really hard to do on a spreadsheet for me personally. So again, I write everything down on a piece of paper. I just update for my last market, that way I get a good idea of what I still had left, so I keep that and I go ahead and sketch that all in, and then I'll sketch in any new patterns or any new animals or anything like that that I decided to make, and along with those prices that I now have added into my inventory as well. So you'll see that next week too, and that'll make a lot more sense of what I'm talking about. So you could always reference that or my last market day video, like I said. The next big thing is whenever you're getting ready for a market, what I really recommend that you do is do not pack everything the day before. I know a lot of people are gonna come at me for this one, okay? But personally, if it's me, I pack it 2 days before, okay? The whole reason is because the night before, I'm a very anxious person, and so the night before I'm already going to be freaking out about if I miss this, or this, and that extra 24 hours for me to really set on it and remember if I grabbed everything, grabbed my bags, grabbed my boxes, grabbed everything that I need for my market, it has more time for me to settle into the idea that I got everything already, because I know that I did, because it's always in the same spots, okay? And that way I can spend the night before maybe crocheting something I noticed that I missed whenever I was packing, or if I have to run to the store and grab a tablecloth because my one at the last show got stained or something. Whatever that kind of stuff is, you can go ahead and do that the day before. That way you're a lot less stressed about it, and you can just sleep a lot more peacefully than like literally sitting in bed all night and I'd be like staring at the ceiling like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot that, you know? So that's my other big tip for you guys. If you want to see another whole video about more and more market tips, I have a whole notebook for them, a whole notebook for you guys about all of this kind of stuff, and I'd love to share it with somebody. So let me know if you want to see that, and let me know which one of your favorite patterns that I showed today was, and if you're going to be trying them. I want to know if you guys have started trying these patterns already, if you've even heard of these yet, because if not, I'm telling you, you need to get on them, okay? I promise it's going to be a huge seller at my next market, and I'll keep you updated on that as well. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have for this week. I'm working on a couple patterns for myself, so nothing really big to update like inventory wise, and we'll be doing a whole inventory video next week, so you'll get to see all that. You'll get to see how I price things, why I price things, and I'll explain all of that in that video as well for you. And if you have any questions, just leave them down in the comments. I love answering questions. I love sharing everything that I know with you guys, because at one point we're all beginners and everybody wants to know everything. So I am more than happy to share all of that information. So with that being said, please go ahead and like this video. Please go ahead and comment down below again what your favorite pattern was. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel and turn on those little notifications, because I would love to see you guys in my community, because we just love new people over here and we just keep getting bigger and bigger by the day. And it is absolutely so exciting. So I cannot wait to see you guys again next week. You guys know where to find me, and I will see you later. So bye.